Am I the a-hole for not telling my roommate's girlfriend my dress was fake? I, 23 female, have had a good relationship with my roommate Gerard, 23 male, except for the last 8 months because Gerard has a new girlfriend Melissa, 21 female, that loves my style. She has always admired and complimented my style. I wear designer clothes because I work at a fancy job and I need to dress properly. The issue is that when I am away from the house, she will always take my stuff without permission. She would blatantly use them in front of me and apologize because she forgot to ask me, giving them back dirty and or broken. One of my coworkers invited me to her wedding yesterday, and everyone at the office wears very fancy clothes to these events. I have been obsessed with the Zimmerman dress and I was able to find a dupe online. The package came when Melissa and Gerard were present. Melissa begged me to let her try the dress. She said she never had anything as nice in her life and her birthday was coming this past weekend. I told her no because I needed to wear it soon and she always forgets about cleaning it. She tried to argue but I said no. Suddenly Melissa canceled her birthday party and said she and Gerard were going to do something private. I didn't think too much about it except that night I decided to check Melissa's Instagram. Didn't see anything, which was rare for her. So I checked Gerard's social media. They were at a nightclub. She was wearing my dress. I called and screamed at her that I needed my dress. She started to cry and hung up. I don't know what happened next that night because when she came the next morning the dress was ripped apart with wine stains all over it. I demanded a new dress, told her I didn't care where she was going to get it from but I needed my dress by this Friday, and she did, to my surprise. She left the new dress in my room the morning of the wedding. This morning when I woke up, Gerard asked me about the wedding and if I enjoyed it. I noticed he was being passive-aggressive, and I demanded to know why. He told me, I hope you enjoy the stupid dress. Melissa won't be able to buy groceries for this week, but I hope you enjoy your stupid dress. I felt horrible. I asked him how because the dress cost me $130. Amazing dupe. Indistinguishable. He said it was impossible because the dress was $800. That's when it hit me. I told him it was a fake dress and that I wasn't expecting it from the same store, just the same design. He called me an asshole and that I needed to give it back to Melissa. But I had already used the dress. Now Gerard is upset at me and is calling me an asshole saying I need to pay her back the money difference. I disagree because even though it was a dupe, most of my clothes that she has damaged was original and she hasn't paid me back. So, am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for stopping my parents from paying for my sister's IVF and telling her she can't afford to have a kid? I am 23-year-old male. My sister is 28-year-old female, married to 30-year-old male for 6 years. My sister has been trying for a baby for about 3 years now, without success. 18 months ago, she and her husband came to my parents and asked if we'd finance an IVF treatment. My parents have some savings separate from retirement and agreed to pay for it. And I even pitched in a few $100s to show my support even though I didn't have a lot of savings, having just started work after graduation. Unfortunately, the IVF failed. Yesterday, my sister and Bill came over again for dinner. Afterwards, my sister said she wanted to try another round of IVF and asked my parents if they would pay for it again. I could tell my parents looked hesitant, but they agreed because my sister was crying. At this point, I stood up and said it's not right for her to ask again for our parents' money for something that didn't work before and may not work again. We argued a bit and I admit that things got heated and we had a big fight. She yelled at me that it was none of my business. I told her if she can't pay for the IVF then she needs to accept that she can't afford a kid. She told me to get out, but I refused. My parents were trying to calm us down. My mom started telling me that it's not my money, to which I replied that it's basically a gift to one child and not the other and that it was only fair that I be given a similar amount of money as what they would spend on my sister. My sister started complaining that it's not a gift. It's a treatment for a medical condition and if I'd expect payment if she had cancer and my parents paid for chemo. I told her not being able to have a kid poses no threat to her life the way cancer does and it's a completely disingenuous comparison. My dad finally stood up and yelled at us both to shut up and sit down. Then he told my sister that they already paid for one and I had a point that continuing to pay for it would be unfair. He said he's very sorry for what she's going through but they need to accept things how they are. My sister started crying again and her husband, who had been quiet and looking uncomfortable the whole time, took her and left. Today my sister sent me some text calling me an asshole for sticking my nose in her business and keeping her from having a baby. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole if I refuse to debaptize my aunt? My parents believe in the freedom of choosing one's own religion. My mother was raised Catholic, while my father believes in a God without participating in any church. I, 14, honestly do not care too much about the topic. To the dismay of my aunt, during my childhood, she constantly tried to pressure my mother into getting me baptized. Whenever I visited them, she would try to push Christianity on me. She would read the Bible to me and take me to her church. Among other things, this made me very uncomfortable to the point where I did not want to visit anymore. I recently developed an interest in herbs and plants. This somehow convinced her that I practice witchery. Now she constantly switches between trying to save me and making a point of avoiding me. Most of the family thinks her silly, but like always, when she is acting crazy, everyone just accepts it. Since I did not budge, she focused on my brother. 5. He is friends with my cousin. 6. And therefore spends a lot of time at their house. On his latest visit, my aunt decided to make an appointment with a priest, forge my mother's signature, and get my brother baptized. After my brother told my mother about the incident, which my aunt told him not to do, she confronted my aunt on her next visit. My aunt proudly confessed to having saved my brother, and a screaming match ensued. As I already mentioned, my parents strongly believe that everyone should be able to choose their own beliefs and not join a church until one is old enough to make an informed decision. To summarize my aunt's words, she could not believe that our mother was willfully condemning us to hell, and that it was no wonder I had become a satanic witch. She had to act because my mother obviously couldn't be brought to her senses, and someone had to save the boy. In a moment of anger, I went to my room to get one of my pots. I have one pot in the shape of a skull, and filled it with water. While they were still screaming at each other, I poured the water over her. Then I declared her to be now baptized a witch and the lawful wife of Satan. I will be honest, I enjoyed the expressions of shock and then panic on her face. She told me to undo what I did. I refused. Once she realized she could not convince me, she stormed out of the house. Now, she told the whole family about it, and my grandparents and other relatives have been bombarding my mother with hateful messages. My mother says she understands why I did what I did, but that I need to undo it to keep the peace. I am supposed to make a show of debaptizing her and declaring her Christian again. I am just tired of everybody constantly talking about religions and fed up with my aunt and everybody's endurance of her. If she can just go around and baptize my brother, why can't I do the same to her? Am I the a-hole if I do not comply with my parents' wishes? Am I the a-hole for wanting to use my college fund for law school rather than on my stepbrother? I, 18 female, and I am about to go to college. I have a full ride to my state university, which I chose over paying in full at a much more prestigious school because I plan on going to a prestigious and expensive law school. My parents' income is too high to qualify me for any financial aid. I have a college fund of about $100,000. My stepbrother has one of about $70,000. 19 male. Mine is half from my mom, half from my dad. His is from my dad, his mom, and the inheritance from his deceased father. My stepbrother is attending a very expensive out-of-state university and has nearly blown through his fund. He is now very stressed about having to take out loans. Since he is not going into a high-income field, he and my stepmother are urging me to give him my college fund, or at least some of it, so he can avoid taking out as many loans. Their reasoning is that then we'd have an equal start of undergrad, that the fund was intended for undergrad only, that I'd have a higher paying job so I'm more able to pay back loans, and that my mom was more capable of supporting me since she has a higher income than my dad's household, and my stepbrother's father is dead. My dad is neutral and told me to choose, but that family is more important than money. My mom supports putting it towards law school and thinks it's the smartest choice. Am I the a-hole for ruining my sister's engagement because I told her husband the truth? I am not close with my sister at all. I am 25 male, in school, working, living on my own. I have not talked to Kitty, 28 female, in 7 years. We have chatted, but it is only to make my mom happy. It is only about TV shows and Kitty's life. I don't tell her anything about my own, and my parents know not to share anything with her. I have been late to every holiday, so that Kitty will be gone by then. I don't have her on social media. She is muted on my phone, and she has never met my new partner, Kylie. My mom begged me to come to family dinner because Kitty is engaged and they want to talk about the wedding. I agreed to go on the condition that Kitty call me by my preferred name. My full name is Thomasina. I go by Macy. Kitty insisted for years on calling me Tom. Tommy, which I hate with a passion. Mom said they would have a chat and I went. Things were going really well until we went out to the bonfire pit. Mom went inside to get dessert and Dad said he needed to hit the hay. I ended up thinking, foolishly, that maybe Kitty had matured. Brad, 30M, seemed really nice. Brad asked why I hadn't invited Kyle to the meal, as he would love to meet him. I asked if he meant Kylie, my girlfriend. He looked really confused and said he must have misheard. When Kitty went inside to get another beer, he asked me if I had ever dated someone named Kyle. I said no, I dated women, exclusively. He then asked me a few more questions about my life. It became really obvious that he thought I was close with Kitty, when I was not. I was honest with him and said I had not really spoken with her in 7 years. We were not close. She is not on my social media. And I was not going to go to the wedding. My mom had asked me to come. I said I should probably head home. Brad asked if I lived local. I said yes, I lived down the road. He got up, went inside, and got into a screaming match with Kitty about her lying to him. They left pretty quickly. I found out from my mom that Brad has asked for them to go to therapy, that he thinks Kitty is a liar or cheating. Am I the a-hole? If you enjoyed the video, then consider leaving a like. Thanks for watching. See you next time.